Welcome back, y'all. Summertime. Summertime Success with Ms Knowlin. Live right here on IGTV. Thank you so much for joining me. As you guys know, I come to you each and every Tuesday at 2 p.m. with fun ways to discuss academic topics so that I can help the children to remain fresh and current in academic topics during the summertime to avoid that summertime slump. You guys know what I'm talking about. When we get a little bit lazy, we forget our best practices. So in this IGTV, I'm coming to you as an educator over 23 years with my experience. I'm just bringing you guys some content so that you can keep current. Now, if you do not have your notebook, remember I asked you guys to keep a summertime notebook. Please go get it. Make sure you have something to write with. And you can use any notebook. As you can see here, I have my spiral notebook. You can use whatever you want. We just want to have a place that we're going to keep all our notes this summer so that when we want to refer back to them, and that is a good thing that all students should do. Make sure you review your notes, go over them, question them, and since we have access to the internet, we can always ask some more questions, because as you know, when you have the internet, you have access to the world. So, and remember, your phone is a good educational tool, not just for texting your friends. So if you ever need to look up something, make sure you use that. So last week we discussed goals. You guys remember that I talked a little bit about goals and why they were important and how we could set our goals for the future and what are some things that we could do to make sure that we are getting those goals met and that we take those paths and we do those things that we need to do in school and after school as well so that we can actually get to that achievement. And I know you guys are going to comment and DM me and tell me all about it when school starts again. So today we're going to do a little transition. Today's two topics. The first topic we're going to talk a little bit about is writing. And for those of you who don't know, my name is Ms Knowlin, and I am the proud author of the Memoirs of an Empress. And you can find this book anywhere that good books are sold. Also available on iTunes and in Nook. So if you like an online platform, you may access it there as well. So, as an author, of course, one of the things that I find very important to make sure that all students have a good handle on is writing. And I know some of you are going to say, I don't want to do writing, I don't want to talk about it. But let's think about it a little bit, why some of us don't like writing. Maybe it's because we don't get a chance to talk about or write about things that we really like. Or maybe we're not that comfortable or confident with the way we write. So let me just stop right there and let you know that reading and writing go hand in hand. So if you don't know, let me tell you. The more you read, the more you know. I know. You've heard that before, right? It's actually true. So if you read a lot, you're going to learn a lot of vocabulary, you're going to learn a lot of words, you're going to learn how to spell words because you're going to constantly see them over and over again. You're going to know what good writing looks like. You're going to know when to use capital letters and punctuations because it's being modeled for you in reading. So all parents, just so you know, we're going to talk about writing today, but reading and writing go hand in hand. So encourage your child, and I always told my own students, even if you give it 10 minutes a day, find something, a newspaper, an internet article, a magazine. You could even read books such as comics, anything, because whatever you read, you're going to write. The more clear your writing is, the easier it is for you as the writer to get your message out. So I want you guys to think about some things that you really are interested in, okay? Because we're going to focus on those things. Because really, Doesn't matter what you write about, especially in the summertime, because we're going to take this at a summertime pace, and we're not going to worry about writing essays right now, although that is important, but we're going to just start at writing about things that you love. So start thinking about that. You have any ideas? Write it down in your notebook. Try to think of at least 2 things that you really like. Everything that you could think about, but the most 2 things that really, really absorbs your brain. So here's an example. I like to write about my garden. I like to talk about my children. I like to talk about my book. I like to talk about writing. I like to do a lot of housework. I like to paint and things like that. Not housework like washing dishes. No, I actually hate that. But things that would like decorate, I'm into that. So if somebody asks me what are 2 things, the most 2 important things to me, I would definitely say my family and my ability to be an educator. And that being an educator means a lot of things. So we're not even going to go into that. So we're going to talk about writing about things you love. Now, when you have your topic, now make sure you write these things down. You're going to try to think of, how can I write a poem about my topic? Can I write a song about my topic? Can I explain my topic to someone else? So for example, thinking of myself, I like to garden. So I would write, for example, directions to how to plant a seed. So think about something you like to do and how could you explain it or write directions for someone who does not know about it. So for example, if you're an artist or you like to cook, how would you explain that to someone? Okay, so you have songs, you can write a play, you can write a skit. So all we're going to do for this week is we're going to pick one topic and one way to write about it, and we're going to put as much information in our notebook as we possibly can. So that's the challenge, the writing challenge for you guys today. Also, we're going to go over something called writing prompts. So parents, if you have not been on my website, which is blackgirlswrite2, it's the number 2.com, I have free resources online for students. And what these writing resources are actually writing prompt links, website links. I surfed the webs for a couple of hours and I picked up some of these websites that I found to be very useful in helping to get the writing process started. So sometimes kids don't understand or they don't know what to write about. So we give them prompts to kind of give their mind a way to focus on something that they can write about. So if you have not gone online, I have tons and tons of links there that will give you lots of things to write about, not only this summer, but throughout the year. And when I say tons, it's tons. But if you want something right now, let's think about some writing prompts that might be fun for children that they might want to write about. So maybe, you got your notebook, you ready? Maybe you could talk about or explain in your notebook, what's your favorite spot at home? Like, where is your favorite area in the house? And then you would give explanation. Details are super important. So you're going to explain as much as you can. And I always told my students, think of your 5 senses. So how does it make you feel? What is something you could touch in that area? What do you hear when you're in that area? What do you see? What do you think about? So when you think about the 5 senses, it really helps you to give some details and some substance to your writing. And that's very important. Here's another writing prompt. How about the best time I ever had? I'm pretty sure that you can write a lot of stuff about that, okay? What about a great place to visit? It could be your favorite restaurant, your favorite state, your favorite country. It could be your best friend's house. It doesn't matter as long as it's a place. What is my favorite food? I know lots of kids like macaroni and cheese. But what are some other things that we can think about? When I said foods, I used the letter S at the end. So that means I could talk about more than one thing. If you prefer to only stick to one thing, that's totally fine. But again, we're trying to pick things that I can just write about, okay? And that is the goal here. How about, how can I conquer my fear? How would you write about that? Here's another one. If I could build my perfect house, how many rooms would it have? How many bathrooms? Would it have a backyard? Would you have a gated community? The list goes on. I don't want to give you all my ideas, okay? You guys got to really think about that. And remember, write it down, okay? The more you write, the more you practice, the better you become. It's just like sports. How about this? Do you guys think about brushing your teeth? I don't really think about it. I just do it because from I'm little, my mom showed me how to brush my teeth. I do it all the time. I get up, I don't even think about brushing my teeth. That's how I want you guys to become about writing. You do it so much, you got so good at it, it becomes part of your habit that you don't even think about it. You just know where to put a capital letter, you just know where to put a period, when to start a paragraph. That again comes with reading. So writing and reading go hand in hand. Now, one last thing, and this one goes back to our conversation last week. Here's the last prompt that I'm going to give you guys today. What are 2 things that I want to do in 5 years? I'm sure you could think about 2 things that you want to do in 5 years. Okay? It doesn't have to be your job. I'm thinking some of you won't have jobs yet in 5 years. So what are 2 things you want to do? Maybe in school, sports you want to play, maybe a place you want to visit, a person you want to meet. Okay, so the list goes countless. It is countless. And I want you guys to always remember that the internet is really a great tool. And guys, it's not just for Fortnite, okay? You can actually learn stuff on the internet. So you know where they have the search button? I know you guys know because you've searched up things before. You're going to put in whatever topic you're interested in and search it up. And you're going to be able to pick the websites that you find the best. Now, like I always tell my students, let's stay away from Wikipedia, okay? Wikipedia.com is not what we call a reliable source. So let's not use Wikipedia. We can use so many other sources out there, okay? So when you put that in the search engine, it's going to give you a whole bunch of things for you to look at. Don't forget to check the links on my website so that you can find a lot more interesting prompts that will want you to write, because it's going to be things that you actually like. And that is the goal, is to find something that I can connect with so that I can write and just become a better writer, okay? So that is the challenge in writing this week, okay? Now, we're going to transition now. We are going to remember that writing is super important because it showcases our abilities. It explains to people who read our work who we are, what we know, and how we're able to express ourselves. And that's super important. So kids, even though I think that some of you may not really love writing, just challenge yourself, because if you find things that you can read and write about, you're going to love it, okay? So that's why I'm on book 2, because if I didn't really love it, writing and talking about people's experiences, that's why I like memoirs. That's what a memoir is. I probably wouldn't write as many books as I'm going to write because I love it, so I can't stop, okay? So I want you guys to remember that. Now, remember, summertime notebook is super important. So let's not write let's not draw in that notebook if it has nothing to do with what we're doing. That summertime notebook is going to be solely for our notes, okay? So I want everybody to remember that. Okay, next topic we're going to focus on this week is the Constitution. So, for those of you who don't know, I am actually a certified social studies teacher, also known as a history teacher. I have a BA in history from Washington College, and I have an MA in history from Brooklyn College. So I talk a lot about history because I love it. I've learned a lot about it, and I have a lot of knowledge that I like to share. I just want to encourage you all, if there are some topics in history, I'm a historian, so if there's a topic in history that you're super important or you just want to know more about, DM me, text me, let me know. It's not a problem. We can work with each other. So I decided to focus a little bit about the Constitution because, as you guys know, this is an election year, and we want to understand our government. And I find that when I teach civics to students, which is government, they're clueless. But by the time they leave my class, they have actually gained so much knowledge about civics that when I give them the citizenship test, they do super, super well. So, what is a citizen? Have you guys ever thought about that? Well, yeah, a citizen is a person that lives in a country, yes, but what does it mean to be a citizen? Okay, so write down 2 things in your notebook. What does it mean to be? If I'm a good citizen, for example, what are 2 things that a good citizen should do? Or what are the 2 things that a good citizen should know? Okay, and one of the things that Ms. Knowlin thinks is super important for all kids to know that live in the United States and any country is to understand how their government works. Okay, and so we have this document. It's called the United States Constitution. And so for everybody who's tuning in internationally, thank you so much. But just remember, children, there are constitutions throughout the entire world. So wherever you're living, make sure you understand your constitution. So our U.S. Constitution was actually, the Constitution is what we call the backbone or the structure of our government. It is the document that lays out the law. It kind of like gives us the plan for our government. So, for those of you who don't know, do you know how many parts of the Constitution there are? No? Really? Okay, so that's why I'm here. There are 3 parts of the Constitution. We have the preamble, we have the articles, and then we have the amendments, okay? And so I'm just going over a big picture here because remember, history is someone's perspective. I'm just giving you the information and you guys go from there, okay? So the Constitution was officially ratified. So when something is ratified, that means that it is passed into law, and it was officially ratified on June 22nd of 1788. Okay, and so that means that the founding fathers, if you will, and they call founding fathers people who were the ones who established this government, that's what they call the founding fathers. And we can talk about names later, okay? I'm just giving you information. So the founding fathers agreed to this document during the during the Confederate Congress, and they said, yep, this is good to go. So in the preamble, we have the introduction. It kind of talks to you a little bit about the purpose of the Constitution. And in my classroom, my students memorize it. And I think it's really important because I want them to understand the purpose of the Constitution. It's your document and you need to understand it so that when people challenge you on your rights, you understand your rights. And that's so important. Okay? So, now, just so you know, Delaware was the first state that ratified this Constitution, and the last state that was a state at the time was Rhode Island. Okay, so we had Delaware, a small state, and also Rhode Island, a small state, that were the first and the last. Now, this actually became known as the Supreme Law. So what I mean by that is that this law, this Constitution, is over any other constitution. So if you don't know, if you live in the United States, your state also has the Constitution. Okay, some counties have constitutions, provinces, districts. So the way your state is organized is very different. Okay, so some of you know I'm from New York, and in New York we have counties. Now I live in Florida, we also have counties. But there are some states that have provinces. Okay, so if you don't know what that is, that's just a different name for how they divide up their state. Okay, so you can look that up. Remember, internet. Look up the things that you want to find out more information. Okay, so we went over the preamble. Now the second part of the Constitution is the Articles. Now in the Articles, it explains what the jobs are of each branch of government. So this is for another time, but quickly, does anybody know how many branches of government we have? Okay, we have 3 branches of government, and they are the executive, the judicial branch, and the legislative branch. So if I want to know how do these branches of government work, then I'm going to head on over to the Articles of Confederation, the Articles of the Constitution, so that I can find that information. Okay? Now the last part of the Constitution is called the amendments. And we have 27 amendments. And the word amendment means to make a change. Okay? So 27 times the Constitution was changed, something was added, something was taken away to make the Constitution a quote-unquote better document. Okay? So that's why we have amendments. How we get an amendment is a process, okay? And I teach that in my class. It's called How a Bill Becomes a Law. And you will have to know how something gets added to the Constitution, okay? It's not like something, oh, let me just add some. It is a long process, okay? But it can happen because it happened 27 times. And thank God, because there are some very, very important amendments that were made, such as the Civil Rights Amendments, that gave African Americans the right to vote, okay, and have other accessibilities to public places, okay. So there are some super, super important amendments. We're not going to obviously go over them all today, but again, use the internet. It is super important, and you can find out all about the 27 amendments right there. Also, I have a really fun website I like to share with you all. Let me use a different color. This is one I give my students all the time. It's called Ducksters.com. So any of my students, I know you know this website. Ducksters.com is a super fun way to explain academic topics to students. And just so you know, it is not limited to social studies. Okay, they have science there, math there, there's videos, puzzles, there's all kinds of things, and my students, I've been using it at least for 10 years. They love Ducksters. They always want to go on Ducksters, okay? So there's fun puzzles. I'll give my students treats if they get a 90 or better. You can do the same thing at home, okay, parents? So Ducksters.com, Ducksters.com is a fun way to keep them going in the summertime. You'll love it, okay? Now, the Constitution, as I said, is the backbone. In order for us to actually understand how our government works, we are needing to understand how the Constitution works. So this week, we have 2 challenges. We have the writing challenge to keep writing about fun topics that we love, to find out about some more writing prompts that's going to keep us engaged on topics that are so interesting that we're going to just keep wanting to write, okay? And the other challenge this week is to learn more about your government. Find out more about the United States Constitution. And if you want to go an extra mile, find out about the Constitution in your state. You may want to do a comparison. In my classroom, we use this all the time, and I know some of you guys know it. It's called the Venn diagram. So if I want to know about my Constitution, I would write some facts I learned about it. If I want to know about the U.S. Constitution, I'm going to write some facts I learned about that. And in the middle, we're going to find out some things that are the same. So this is what we call comparing, when we find out differences and we also list our similarities. So we have some challenges this week. I know you guys are super up to it because I see the comments. And I want to shout out to all those kids. You know, I didn't know how many children had Instagram. All those kids that's coming on, I really, really appreciate it. I thought you had a certain age to be on. I'm not going to tell. Shh. But thank you guys so much for joining me. And remember, if you want to help with someone with a child, keep informed on topics that are super important, this summer. Make sure you share, like, tag this video. Let them know some great things are happening right here on Instagram for kids. And don't forget, check out Ducksters.com. You won't be disappointed. Don't forget, tomorrow I will be shouting out my special title for my literature circle this week, because as you know, on Wednesday I post what story I am going to be reading aloud for you on Friday. So I hope to see you guys there. Remember, click the link in my bio, don't forget, so that you can go to my website and find out about all those writing prompts I was talking to you guys about. And I can't wait. Hopefully my merch will be here next week, because I can't wait to show you guys my merch. So make sure you check it out. I'll see you guys next week. Have a fabulous week. And don't forget, Summer Success with Ms Knowlin, y'all. Next Tuesday at 2 o'clock. See you later.